I find what I'm seeing as of right now when it comes to Beam to be interesting. Now, some people may be thinking, what do you mean by that? Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, I'm totally aware that Beam is not doing the best currently. If anything, generally speaking, ever since quite a while back ago, the price has been trending downwards, right? And we're seeing altcoins right now not doing good. But why do I find it interesting nonetheless? It's because my sort of plan here, right, is to dollar cost average. Now, it could be different had my plan been to be in Beam for like a week or 2 weeks, then I would not find it interesting, actually. I would not like the project at all. But that is not my plan, right? That's not what I'm doing. I am not telling you to do anything, but I am looking to dollar cost average. So if, let's say, the price was not doing good, temporarily, let's say, because hopefully it doesn't not do good forever, but I'm just saying, if let's say temporarily it was like, having a dip and the price wasn't doing good, if let's say I could hypothetically bring my average cost down and just, dollar cost average even more, it's not something I would find not interesting, right? I would actually find it hypothetically something pretty okay because, if let's say there's a quote unquote hypothetical discount, maybe in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if I would necessarily complain about that. Now, this is just my analogy, right? Because 25 cents is around a 41x from here. Now, for simplicity's sake, let's say it's around a 40x, right? I get it. It's a pretty massive pullback, but I think arguably Beam is one of the most popular projects out there that is focused on blockchain gaming. And if we even take a look at blockchain gaming, right, that market right there is expected to be worth over $300 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. That's pretty massive. All while, again, Beam arguably being one of the most popular projects within that space, and then at the same time, the market cap, because of the pullback that we're seeing as of right now, is below $300 million. That's kind of interesting for me to think about, actually. Again, one of the most popular projects out there focus on blockchain gaming, which could, who knows, maybe be an emerging market moving forward, and a market that we've seen kind of have pretty good attention at times when the altcoin space was doing pretty good. Again, we're talking about that kind of market sector. And then Beam, being one of the most popular projects there, current market cap is below 300 million. Well, I mean, wow. This is my point of view, right? I'm not telling you to do anything, but I just find that pretty interesting to me. And now, why am I still thinking about 25 cents? It's because market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, is, or should I say, would be around 12.5 billion. That's still not something I would find too surprising because if, let's say, right, there was attention again when it comes to blockchain gaming, and let's say there's an altcoin season, who knows if that will ever even happen during the cycle. But if there was, I mean, it just doesn't seem like maybe too outlandish, especially again considering how Beam is kind of one of the most popular projects out there that is specifically focused on blockchain gaming. Now, is it as popular as Solana? Absolutely not. Is it as popular as even like Algorand? Absolutely not. But, at the same time, for the specific niche that it's in, it's kind of pretty popular. I mean, when I asked a lot of my friends out there, when it comes to blockchain gaming, yeah, sure, they think about Gala, right? They think about something called Engine, but then Beam is oftentimes something that's mentioned, and I think it's just because the reputation is already pretty good within this space. It already has that presence, has a pretty good amount of holders. Again, there's a pullback right now. However, I'm still a fan of blockchain gaming. I'm still a fan of this project, so I just don't want to give up like that. But again, this is just what I'm doing. I'm not telling you to do anything. Now, Beam, I think, hasn't lacked in terms of the fundamentals. Like, it's still doing pretty good. Yeah, sure, Beam, generally speaking, the price was not doing good for quite a while now. But then fundamentally, I don't feel like anything bad happened to it. Now, had something bad fundamentally happened to Beam, that's a different case, but I just don't see it here. When I take a look at, for instance, the Beam SDK, or should I say, the Beam Software Development Kit, that seems to be something that is often still talked about, because this supposedly does allow game developers to choose from a variety of tools that can be used to fuel and structure their in-game blockchain elements. Again, blockchain gaming is not doing the best, altcoins are not doing the best, but I still like the concept nonetheless. It's not like Beam lost its kind of core focus. Had Beam randomly announced that it's becoming a meme coin, whoa, that's a totally different case, right? But it didn't do that. It's still doing what I kind of feel like it set out to do, at least when I first started believing in it. You know what I mean? It's still focused on blockchain gaming, generally speaking. Yeah, sure, Beam has other aspects too, like for instance, Sphere, which is an NFT marketplace. There's also the Beam Block Explorer. There's other stuff like that. Like we also take a look at, Beam Swap, right? I mean, there's other aspects too when it comes to Beam, like, the Beam Layer Zero Bridge and stuff like that, the Beam OS. So there's still other aspects when it comes to it. I think as a project, it's still, kind of doing its thing. Now, again, it's not doing good in terms of the price. However, that's not my criteria for looking at it as a fundamentally good project, right? If I'm only taking a look at purely just based on price, of course, it's not doing good generally speaking. But then in terms of fundamentals, I do like it. And that's what I'm focused on as of right now. So if I like the fundamentals and the price is relatively speaking kind of low, I would find it pretty interesting because I am looking to dollar cost average. But, this is just what I'm doing. And sometimes people like to say, oh, when is Beam going to do this or do that? Well, I have no control over that. The only thing I have control over is myself. So personally, I am just staying patient, and that's about it. Because when it comes to, again, why am I still believing? It's because I've seen, again, time and time again, when there is somewhat attention when it comes to this space, blockchain gaming seems to somewhat have some attention too. Now, it doesn't have the best attention out there, but it's still pretty popular nonetheless. When it comes to, let's say, the space doing pretty good, this sometimes gains attention. When it comes to the space overall, I'm not just only talking about Beam specifically, right? So this is why I still have this belief when it comes to maybe what the future of Beam could do. I am still staying patient. I am still not giving up. And to me, it just makes no sense for me to only talk about a project when it's doing good. That's not my style. For me, I want to believe in a project throughout its course. There's going to be ups and downs along the way. There's going to be a roller coaster, right? The way you take a look at it. There's going to be sometimes when it does good, sometimes when it does bad. But I just don't give up like that. This is my point of view. It wouldn't make sense for me to, let's say, if things just kind of deviate a little bit, I give up every time like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, granted, right? No matter what someone told me, no matter what I read online, I believed in Beam just personally. Like, I'm doing it with my own decision, right? But then I chose to believe in it. Whatever happens will happen. Me being a fan of a project doesn't mean it's going to do good. But I just can't deny that, I do find it pretty interesting just because the price, relatively speaking, again, is kind of low. And look, maybe it could go lower if, let's say, the altcoin space keeps doing, like, not as good. Sure, this could maybe go lower, but I still like the project fundamentally, so I just don't want to give up. But this is just my mindset. I am just still staying patient because when I take a look at something like Beam, fundamentally, I still like it. And also on top of that, I still like the factors currently about this cycle compared to back in 2021, which I get it. Sometimes it's not that easy to believe that because we haven't seen an altcoin season, arguably, I think, during this cycle, whereas we clearly saw one back in 2021. But if there's over 600 million crypto owners currently, whereas back then, during the peak of that bull run, there was around 300 million, if let's say there was an altcoin season during the cycle, if it maybe looked better than back then, it wouldn't surprise me. So I'm just still staying patient. Only time will tell, but I'm waiting because this is what I want to do, and I haven't given up when it comes to Beam. And I want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.